What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. I'm Scott, and today we have a very special remastered build for you guys. This build is an old fan favorite, and we've changed it up by introducing a brand new skill, massively improving the perk choices, and completely fleshing out the backstory. This is the Samurai. The Samurai combines honor and power to bring justice and good to Tamriel. He protects the vulnerable, provides for the needy, and travels the province, making an honest living. But when provoked by the evildoers of Skyrim, the Samurai implements his second-to-none skill with a bow and blade to liberate their heads from their bodies. The Samurai's approach is made by the sound of galloping hoofs and the whistle of perfectly shot arrows whistling through the air. This one-man cavalry charges into battle on horseback, firing arrows at breakneck speeds before dismounting and breaking necks in a similar fashion with lightning-fast sweeps of his dual katanas. The Samurai is the kind of mortal who leaves behind a legacy that is sung about for centuries, but he acts with honor and integrity, not for the fame, but for the good of the people. One of the Samurai's blades, Dragonbane, is a legendary sword similar in style to that of the Akaviri katana, and to get your hands on this awe-inspiring weapon, check out our pals Camelworks channel, where you can find a brand new guide on it. The link can be found in the description. Also in the description are timestamps which you can use to help you navigate each part of the video. But with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the Samurai's race, standing stone, and stats. As a Khajiit, his Night Eye allows him to see in the dark for 60 seconds for an unlimited number of times per day. Also, thanks to his claws, this feline can do 15 points of damage with unarmed attacks alone. Additionally, thanks to the Samurai's race, he will have a natural boost of +5 to archery and +5 to one-handed, which will both work perfectly for his skills and gear. At the start of the game, the Lover Stone is the best option for leveling all of the Samurai's skills. After this though, in the end game, the Atronach Stone's 50% spell absorption provides the best protection in combat. However, if you're not too fussed about this and you think you can handle those mages without the stone, the Steed Stone works well until you can get the conditioning perk. This grants 100 extra carry capacity and removes any movement penalty for armor. The Samurai's stat spread will be 60% health and 40% stamina. 60% health will ensure you stay healthy in battle, while 40% stamina is the perfect amount to keep you sprinting, power attacking, and slowing time with your bow until your heart's content. The Samurai was born as a nomad in the Great Forest, just west of the imperial city of Cyrodiil. His parents just about survived, selling petty wares to other travelers, but when their son was born, they knew it was time for a change. They moved to the imperial city, hoping to forge a trouble-free life of sufficient wealth and security for their boy. Things weren't that simple for them, unfortunately, and in order to make ends meet, they found themselves getting involved with the wrong crowd. The Samurai's father made progress, earning some money gambling and fighting until when the Samurai was still a young boy, his father tried to leave the scene for a more lawful life. A local criminal kingpin didn't like the idea of a man who knew his identity from the illegal gambling rings walking the streets unmonitored. So, as sociopathic crime lords are prone to do, the kingpin elected to tie off his two loose ends, sending his men to take out the Samurai's parents. His parents were killed that evening, and all of their efforts over the past years were in vain. The young Samurai was left poor and alone, orphaned on the harsh streets of the imperial city. The Samurai spent the following weeks mourning, sitting in a filthy alleyway, straining his mind to remember as much as he could of his parents. His few memories of them were all overwhelmingly positive. They had been selfless, good-hearted, and kind people. As he grew up and came to terms with the loss, those memories were hazy and he couldn't completely confirm any of what he recalled, but he committed to them, vowing to live his life just like them. Instead of taking the inevitable path of every other homeless orphan, stealing from anyone and everyone, the Samurai fended for himself, refusing to prosper at the expense of anyone else. While the other children of the streets cased the various stalls in the market district, waiting for chances to steal the wares of the merchants, the Samurai was below the cobblestones, hunting rats in the sewers beneath the city. He fashioned a spear from a sharpened branch, which he used to skewer his prey, before teaching himself how to build a fire and cook the meat of questionable sanitation. The flimsiness of his tools combined with the dim light of the sewers meant that the Samurai's hunting ability developed quickly. It wasn't long before he began venturing past the city gates to hunt boar, deer, and sheep in the forest, and slaughter fish in Lake Rumare. His spear was ideal for catching fish, but for the other game, the Samurai fashioned a bow and fletched arrows from worthy-looking sticks he found in his travels. At first, the Samurai's intention was simply to feed himself, but thanks to his aptitude with the bow, he often found himself with more meat and fur than he could possibly use. And that was when the Samurai began making a living selling his wares in the market district. His humble upbringing earned him respect among the thieves and orphans of the imperial city, so he was never robbed of his goods. But there was one other thing which maintained his relationship relations with the lower class. Any meat that the samurai didn't sell that day, he would take to the slums of the city. There he would cook the meat and invite all comers to join him for a warm meal. The samurai soon earned a well-earned reputation across the city for his kindness and selflessness. In an attempt to make his long-dead parents proud, the samurai had adopted a personal honor code similar to that of the Bushido, a code that real-world Japanese samurai had. He was loyal and dutiful to the needy, compassionate and benevolent with the sharing of his wares, and was the embodiment of honor and integrity. The samurai knew vaguely of his parents' demise, never quite trusting anyone he met in the imperial city, and he used his skills with a blade and bow to protect those unable to protect themselves from street criminals. As his tracking and hunting ability became more refined, the samurai began taming wild horses to sell to the stables. There was a lot of money to be made here, and this became his main source of income. He even started hunting with his bow from horseback, massively improving the efficiency and speed of his kills. Against all odds, it seemed as though the samurai was on his way to a comfortable, wealthy life in the Talos Plaza district, although the samurai's protection of many of the city's orphans and petty criminals upset the order of things in the criminal underworld. A local criminal kingpin grew sick of hearing that his men were thwarted by an armed Khajiit wherever they attempted to seek reimbursement for crippling loans. The kingpin would lend money to needy individuals only to break their legs when they couldn't repay their debts. In order to rid himself of this troublesome Khajiit, the kingpin bribed some down-on-their-luck guards to arrest the samurai on the false charge of murder. Fortunately, the samurai's countless good deeds paid dividends in karma, and some of the orphans caught wind of this ploy, before hurrying to inform the samurai before it was too late. The samurai was angered by the news and was almost tempted to make good on that murder charge, going after the kingpin himself. After all, he had the slight suspicion for many years that his parents hadn't simply vanished by coincidence. They were a part of this crime-riddled lower class system, and wherever healthy individuals died, it didn't take long for rumors to spread of the kingpin's involvement. Either way, the samurai concluded that he would not jeopardize his many years of purity and honor for the sake of a personal suspicion. He instead packed his belongings and slipped from the city gates under the night sky, heading north to Skyrim, where he could evade whatever troubles lurked in the Imperial City underworld. His plans soon failed, however, and he was caught by the Imperials on the border of Skyrim and Cyrodiil. The samurai almost laughed, expecting to be taken back the way he'd come, back into the belly of the Imperial City, but instead he was carted off to Helgen. When the samurai escapes Helgen, he will continue with his original goal of forging a new life for himself under his Bushido values. He will make an honest living selling meat and furs in the cities while looking out for those who cannot look out for themselves. Thanks to his memories of his parents and his kind-hearted nature, the samurai will be compassionate and charitable to those needier than himself, and he will be courageous in the face of adversity. It is fundamental to him that he maintains a positive view of himself. He aims to be honorable and righteous in his own eyes and the eyes of everyone he meets. Therefore, in his journey across Skyrim, he will take a very active role in any jobs that will improve another person's life in some way or another. Most importantly, stealing and killing innocents are completely against his belief. He is a capable guardian rather than a willing mercenary. As for faction choices, he will embrace the role of Dragonborn and complete the main story. Whether out of enjoyment or simply a sense of duty to the people, he will fight gallantly against the dragons to protect the small folk. Obviously, this means he will also do the Dragonborn DLC. He will complete the Dawnguard DLC, siding with the Dawnguard as their cause is honorable and just. Lastly, he will join the companions to fight alongside other warriors. The choice of whether to become a werewolf is up to you. While there are negative connotations attached to lycanthropy, the samurai can justify it to himself as long as he only uses the powers for good. As long as he is not corrupted and will stick to his beliefs, the additional abilities are in good hands. So that decision is all yours. Well, with the samurai's backstory, role-playing factions, and strict belief system in mind, let's see how that translates to his skills, spells, perks, and overall playstyle. The main skills for this build will be one-handed archery, heavy armor smithing, and a new addition, speech. The samurai will not be using any spells. However, he will use his newly acquired dragon shouts to not only give him an edge in battle, but also to increase his renown across the continent as a traveling hero of the people. There is a wide array of shouts which you can use, and all of them are viable as they fit his role as the Dragonborn. But some we recommend, which work well with the samurai's playstyle, are Fire Breath, Whirlwind, Sprint, and Unrelenting Force. But with those out of the way, let's get into the all-important perks. It could be a masterly crafted katana or a sharpened stick which somewhat resembles a spear if you squint and cross your eyes. Either way, the samurai puts whatever weapon he has at his disposal to good use, and that was all self-taught in the dank dark sewers crawling beneath the streets of the Imperial City. There's no denying that this feline is an expert with one-handed weapons. From the one-handed skill tree, we suggest taking the second branch up to Savage Strike and Critical Charge, and then the far right branch. As he'll be using dual katanas when he isn't on horseback, Dual Flurry is a very significant perk. This makes dual-wielding attacks with these already quick blades 35% faster. As you can tell, mobility already seems like a staple for the samurai, so another perk worth mentioning is Critical Charge. This allows you to perform a one-handed power attack while sprinting that does double critical damage. But we mainly get this perk to get into battle quickly and lunge at our enemies. It also just looks really cool. The samurai's second and most effective form of offense is archery. Hunting in the forests of Cyrodiil with a handmade bow for many years made the samurai a formidable archer, but what really drove home his sheer talent was when he began loosing arrows from horseback. Only the most skilled fighters on the continent were capable of this feat, and the samurai managed to teach himself the art effortlessly. From the archery skill tree, you should take all ranks of every perk except for Critical Shot, where you only need to invest one of 3 points. As he'll be firing from the saddle of a moving horse, Steady Hand is an absolute must. This means that time will slow by 50% when zooming in with a bow. In keeping with this build's emphasis on mobility and speed, Quickshot is a great perk, allowing the user to draw a bow for 30% faster, and Ranger is a nifty perk which lets you move faster while it is drawn. Up next, we have Heavy Armor. Unlike the game in the Great Forest, the majority of opponents the samurai will face in Skyrim fight back and pack quite a punch. Dragon hides are far more valuable than venison and mutton for a reason. Not everyone can go for a casual dragon hunt like they would for deer or sheep. For this reason, the samurai sees it as wise to garb himself in armor which will protect him when he can't evade every incoming attack. From the heavy armor skill tree, we recommend taking the whole left branch. The most notable perk here is Conditioning. With Conditioning, you won't incur any penalty to mobility when wearing heavy armor. The samurai's gear is impressive enough to turn the heads of the very best craftsmen in Skyrim, and that's only possible due to the samurai's own smithing ability. While most blacksmiths were being trained in the comfort of a shop with all the equipment needed to make life as easy as possible, the samurai was making his own weapons from scratch with questionable materials and tools that certainly wouldn't be passing health and safety inspections anytime soon. He made his own spears, he carved his own bows, and he fletched his own arrows, and now that money isn't as much of an issue, he is crafting and improving his own weapons and armor from the very best metals. From the smithing skill tree, you should take the right branch up to Ebony Smithing, as well as Arcane Blacksmith. Ebony Smithing will keep his bow in pristine condition, while Steel Smithing is also needed for the rest. Also with Arcane Blacksmith, he'll also be able to improve his legendary weapon Dragon's Bane, aptly named for his tendency to slay even the mightiest of dragons. Last but not least, we have a skill that we've added just for this remaster. There's no doubt that the samurai is quite the warrior, but giving him only combat-related skills seems like an injustice to his personality. The samurai's honorable values make him incredibly popular with the inhabitants of Skyrim, especially the lower class who benefit the most from his acts of kindness. Also, he was a natural merchant, making a living by selling his wares to the diverse crowds of the Imperial City Market District. For this reason, the samurai is skilled in the art of speech. From this skill tree, you should go for the entirety of the left branch. The most notable perk here is Merchant, surprisingly. The samurai's perfectly cut furs and daily haul of meat are irresistible to everyone. He could sell meat to a greengrocer. And with the Merchant perk, you'll be able to sell any type of item to any kind of merchant. Alright then, now the skills and perks are laid out, let's talk about playstyle. The samurai will engage in every battle by galloping in on his horse, shooting people in slow motion with a bow. Thanks to his investment in archery, these arrows will be flying rapidly and with astounding accuracy. When the enemies get too close, he'll climb down from the saddle and switch to his dual katanas. From there, he can dual flurry and power attack his way to victory. When a cavalry charge isn't applicable, the samurai can go into areas with his bow drawn to take out enemies at range before switching to his 2 blades. While his enemies try to keep up with their predictable single sword techniques, the samurai fights like the renowned Japanese swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, who was known for his prowess in double-bladed swordsmanship. As for his gear, the samurai will use the beautifully ornate blades armor to really drive home that samurai aesthetic. He'll wear a full set without the helmet. In terms of weapons, he'll use an ebony bow with ebony arrows, a blade sword, and the unique blade sword known as Dragonbane. These swords are very reminiscent of the traditional Akaviri katana and fit the build perfectly. This unique blade deals between 20 and 40 extra points of damage to dragons and 10 points of shock damage to others. As you know, you can find the link to Camelwork's guide on this weapon just below in the description. All of these weapons and armor can be smithed up at the forge for the best results. The last thing you need to do for this build is acquire a horse as soon as possible, but once you've done that, you're ready to ride. Subscribe to our channel and give the video a big fat like if you enjoyed the video. That concludes yet another FudgeMuppet Skyrim Remastered build, our most legit Khajiit, the Samurai. As always, links to our social media and timestamps to help you find your way around the video are right underneath in the description. And don't forget to drop down to the comments so you can have your say on which build we remaster next. Your choices this week are the Morag Tong Assassin and the Bandit, so get voting. Thanks for watching everyone, I'm Scott and I look forward to nerding out with you again next time.